Self-respect is one of the most powerful and alluring qualities a person can possess, especially for women. In a world that constantly tells us to seek validation from others, to conform to societal standards, and to look for external sources of affirmation, self-respect stands as a quiet force that draws others in without the need for attention or approval. When a woman has self-respect, it's evident in the way she moves, speaks, and interacts with the world around her. It's not something she wears as a badge, but something that emanates from her very being, shaping the way she is perceived and how she engages in relationships. What does self-respect really mean? It's about knowing your own worth and never compromising that for anyone or anything. It's an inner foundation built on values, boundaries, and the conviction that you are enough as you are, not needing to be validated by external factors. When you respect yourself, you don't settle for less than you deserve. You stop seeking approval from people who don't value you. You stop giving your time and energy to those who can't reciprocate it. You start to protect your peace, to guard your heart, and to honor your needs. And because of this, the world responds differently to you. Think about the most powerful women in your life. The ones who seem untouchable, whose presence commands attention, whose confidence is magnetic. What is it about them that draws you in? They have an energy about them that speaks volumes without them needing to say a word. What they have, without realizing it, is self-respect. Self-respect means that you know who you are, and more importantly, who you are not. It means being able to say no when something or someone doesn't align with your values or your well-being. It's about rejecting behaviors that undermine your sense of self-worth, even if it means letting go of relationships or opportunities that no longer serve you. When you respect yourself, you understand that your time, your energy, and your heart are valuable, and you don't give them away to people who are not worthy of them. The thing about self-respect is that it's deeply attractive to others. When a woman has self-respect, she doesn't feel the need to chase after attention or approval. Her energy is calm, sure, and grounded. She doesn't over-explain herself, nor does she apologize for who she is. She is unapologetically herself, and that authenticity is magnetic. People can feel it, and they respect her for it. There is a quiet strength that comes with self-respect that speaks louder than any superficial traits or external validation could ever do. But self-respect isn't just about how others perceive you. It's about how you perceive yourself. It's about how you treat yourself when no one is watching, how you speak to yourself when you make a mistake, when you face a setback, or when you feel insecure. Self-respect means you don't indulge in self-criticism or self-loathing. Instead, you practice kindness and patience with yourself, acknowledging that you are human and deserving of grace. When you respect yourself, you don't let anyone talk down to you, and you certainly don't allow your own inner dialogue to diminish your worth. When you respect yourself, you no longer need to beg for respect from others. It's automatic. The way you present yourself physically, emotionally, mentally commands respect. People recognize that you won't tolerate disrespect or mistreatment. They sense your boundaries, and they learn that you will not let them cross them. And this is what makes you magnetic. Not your appearance, not your wealth, not your status, but your unwavering self-respect. Self-respect doesn't mean being rigid or closed off. It doesn't mean being unwilling to compromise or collaborate. It means knowing where to draw the line and where to hold your ground. It means being able to stand tall in your truth, even when others try to convince you otherwise. It means protecting your energy, knowing that you only have so much to give and choosing to give it to things, people, and pursuits that nourish your soul. Think about a woman who has deep self-respect. How does she act when she's approached by someone who doesn't value her or treat her well? She doesn't get desperate, needy, or forceful. She doesn't go out of her way to win their affection or attention. Instead, she simply walks away, knowing that her energy is too precious to be wasted on someone who doesn't appreciate it. She doesn't give in to the temptation of people-pleasing or seeking validation. She knows that her worth is not dependent on the opinions of others, and because of that, she stands in her own power. Self-respect also means taking care of yourself, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. It's about prioritizing your own well-being, even when the world around you demands that you give more, do more, be more. It means recognizing when you're burning out and taking steps to replenish yourself. It's about knowing that you can't pour from an empty cup. Self-respect means setting aside time for self-care, for healing, for growth. It means not apologizing for needing time alone, for wanting to retreat into yourself when life gets overwhelming. When you begin to embody self-respect, your relationships change. You stop tolerating toxic behavior. You stop letting people walk all over you. You stop settling for less than what you deserve. Whether it's in friendships, family dynamics, or romantic relationships, self-respect will raise your standards. You'll no longer accept anything less than genuine love, respect, and care. You'll no longer put up with disrespectful treatment. And because you've raised your standards, the people who are meant to be in your life, those who truly value and appreciate you, will show up in a way that mirrors your own self-respect. But here's the thing, self-respect is not something that just magically happens. It's something that you have to cultivate day in and day out. It's a practice. It's a conscious choice to stand in your own power, to honor your needs, to set healthy boundaries, and to protect your peace. It's about learning to love yourself, flaws and all, and not letting anyone or anything make you feel less than worthy. It's about choosing yourself, even when it's hard, even when the world tells you to do otherwise. In a world that constantly pushes us to be something we're not, to please others and to seek validation, self-respect is the most radical thing a woman can do for herself. It's the foundation for everything else that follows: confidence, success, love, and inner peace. When you respect yourself, you attract others who will respect you in return. You stop tolerating mediocrity and you start demanding excellence, not from others, but from yourself. And that's when your life begins to transform. You stop seeking approval from the outside world and start generating that approval from within. When you respect yourself, you stop waiting for someone else to give you the love, recognition, or respect that you've been craving. You realize that all of that starts with you. You are the source of your own value. And when you tap into that inner well of self-respect, everything changes. You become magnetic, you become powerful, you become untouchable in the best way possible, because no one can take away what you have already given yourself: deep, unwavering respect. Self-respect is the key that unlocks your true potential. It's the force that draws others to you. It's the energy that empowers you to stand tall, unapologetically in your truth. It's the foundation upon which every other aspect of your life will thrive. And once you embody it, nothing and no one will ever be able to make you feel less than the powerful, worthy woman you truly are. Attractiveness is not about how you look, it's about how you carry yourself. It's about the energy you bring into a room when you walk in, silently, confidently knowing exactly who you are, and more importantly, who you are not. You see, we live in a world where beauty is defined by trends. 1 year, it's the slim waist. The next, it's fuller hips. Society keeps moving the goalpost, and if you keep chasing it, you'll never arrive. But there's something deeper, something timeless that makes a woman truly attractive. And it's not your makeup, your dress, or the attention you get. It's your presence. Presence is power. The most attractive women are not the loudest in the room. They're not desperate for validation. They don't need to flaunt or prove anything. Why? Because they are rooted in something real: self-awareness, purpose, integrity. A truly attractive woman has discipline. She's not scattered. She protects her peace. She guards her heart. And she's selective, not because she thinks she's better, but because she knows her worth. That kind of woman doesn't chase. She chooses. You become magnetic when you stop trying to be liked and start living in alignment with your values. Do you know how rare that is? In a world that's constantly telling you to be someone else, the most powerful thing you can do is become more of yourself. You want to know the real secret? It's self-respect. That is the most seductive thing a woman can have, because when a woman respects herself, everything shifts. Her posture, her tone, her decisions. She stops settling. She stops over-explaining. She stops over-giving to those who do the bare minimum. And here's the truth no one tells you. When you heal your relationship with yourself, you automatically raise your standards. You stop accepting breadcrumbs. You stop begging for energy that should be freely given. That is when your light shines the brightest, because it's no longer filtered through insecurity. Boundaries are often viewed as limitations or walls that we put up to protect ourselves from others. In a world that values openness, connection, and constant interaction, boundaries are often seen as something negative, something that creates distance and separation. But the truth is, boundaries are not walls. They are defining lines that give structure to our lives and preserve our sense of self. Boundaries define beauty, not just because they help us maintain our emotional health, but because they set the stage for deep, meaningful relationships, true self-respect, and personal growth. When we talk about beauty, many people immediately think about outward appearances, the flawless skin, the perfect figure, the carefully curated style. While physical beauty certainly has its place in society, it is not the only kind of beauty that matters. There is an entirely different kind of beauty, one that comes from within, one that is defined not by what we wear or how we look, but by how we treat ourselves and others, how we carry ourselves, and how we choose to engage with the world around us. And the key to unlocking this kind of beauty is in our ability to set and enforce boundaries. Boundaries are a reflection of how much we value ourselves. When you respect yourself enough to set boundaries, you are communicating to the world that you are not willing to accept less than what you deserve. You are establishing a standard for how you want to be treated and what you will and will not tolerate. This is incredibly important because when you set boundaries, you are taking control of your own life, your own emotional space, and your own energy. You are saying, I am worthy of respect. I am worthy of peace. I am worthy of my own time and energy. And when you embody this self-respect, it radiates outwards. People can sense it. They can feel your boundaries, even if they are not explicitly stated. The energy you put out is a reflection of the boundaries you've set within yourself. But setting boundaries doesn't just benefit you, it benefits everyone around you. Healthy boundaries create healthy relationships. When we allow others to treat us poorly or take advantage of our time and energy, we are not only harming ourselves, but we are also teaching others that it is okay to disrespect us. We are setting a precedent that we are not worthy of better treatment, and in doing so, we attract people who mirror that belief back to us. On the other hand, when we set boundaries, we teach others how to treat us with respect. We show them that we value ourselves, and we give them the opportunity to step up to the plate and engage with us in a way that is respectful, kind, and loving. But setting boundaries isn't always easy. It can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're not used to saying no or standing up for yourself. Society, particularly women, is often taught to be nice and accommodating, to put others' needs before our own, and to always make sure that everyone else is happy. But this type of thinking only leads to burnout, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. When we don't set boundaries, we allow ourselves to be overextended, emotionally drained, and ultimately unfulfilled. We lose sight of who we are, what we need, and what truly matters to us. The reality is that no one else can set boundaries for you. It is your responsibility to define the lines that protect your peace, your well-being, and your happiness. This means having the courage to say no when something doesn't feel right, to walk away from situations that drain your energy, and to protect your emotional and mental health from toxic influences. It means being willing to stand firm in your beliefs and needs, even if others try to push against them. And here's the beautiful thing, when you set boundaries, you not only protect yourself, but you also open up the space for deeper, more meaningful connections with others. When we constantly say yes to everything and everyone, we end up giving away all of our time and energy, leaving nothing for ourselves. But when we set boundaries, we create the space for relationships that are based on mutual respect, understanding, and care. Healthy boundaries invite people into your life who respect your needs and values and who want to support you in your growth rather than take from you. In romantic relationships, boundaries are especially important. Without boundaries, relationships can become toxic, draining, and unfulfilling. It's easy to fall into the trap of losing yourself in a relationship, especially when you're trying to please your partner or meet their expectations. But true love, respect, and intimacy can only thrive in an environment where both people feel seen, heard, and valued. This means having the courage to communicate your needs, desires, and limits clearly and respectfully. It means not compromising your sense of self in order to make the other person happy. True love is not about losing yourself. It's about finding someone who respects you for who you are and who is willing to support you as you grow and evolve. The act of setting boundaries also teaches others how to respect their own boundaries. When you set boundaries for yourself, you become an example to others of how they can do the same. This creates a ripple effect where people begin to value themselves more, protect their own emotional space, and engage in healthier, more balanced relationships. In a world where so many people struggle with self-worth and self-respect, setting boundaries is a powerful act of empowerment, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. Setting boundaries also plays a crucial role in protecting your energy. Every person you interact with, every situation you engage in, either drains or replenishes your energy. When you say yes to everything and everyone, you are constantly giving away your energy, often without even realizing it. When you set boundaries, you become more intentional with where and how you invest your time, energy, and emotions. You start to recognize what is worth your energy and what is not. You begin to prioritize the things and people that bring you joy, peace, and fulfillment, and you start letting go of the things that drain you. Boundaries help you create space for your own personal growth and self-care. When you don't set boundaries, you're constantly putting everyone else's needs before your own. But self-care is not selfish. It is essential for maintaining your emotional, mental, and physical health. Setting boundaries allows you to take time for yourself, to rest, to recharge, and to focus on the things that nourish your soul. When you make self-care a priority, you are not only taking care of yourself, but you are also showing others that they can do the same. You're setting an example that self-love and self-respect are the foundation for living a healthy, happy life. And here's the most powerful thing about boundaries. They define your own sense of beauty. When you respect yourself enough to set boundaries, you are acknowledging your own worth and valuing your own well-being above all else. You're communicating to the world that you are not willing to settle for less than what you deserve. And when you do this, you become more confident, more radiant, and more magnetic. The energy you put out is one of strength, self-respect, and self-love, and people are naturally drawn to that. When you set boundaries, you allow yourself to take up space in the world. You stop shrinking to fit into someone else's expectations or living to meet the demands of others. Instead, you start living for yourself. And when you live for yourself, authentically, unapologetically, you become the most beautiful version of yourself. Not because of how you look, but because of the energy you radiate. Boundaries are not just about protecting yourself. They are about creating the space for you to flourish, to grow, and to be the person you were always meant to be. In the end, boundaries are the foundation of a life well lived. They define who you are, what you stand for, and what you are willing to accept. They are a reflection of your self-respect, your strength, and your commitment to your own well-being. And when you set boundaries, you are not only protecting yourself, but you are also inviting the beauty of respect, love, and authenticity into your life. This is the beauty that lasts, the beauty that comes from within. There is a power that some people have that doesn't come from their words, their achievements, or their appearance. It doesn't come from the performance they put on for others or the way they try to impress. It's a presence, a quiet, undeniable force that radiates from within. This is the kind of power that cannot be replicated by simply trying to perform in front of others. It is not about being loud, showing off, or putting on a mask for the world. It is about embodying who you are in the most authentic and grounded way possible. It's about being, not performing. Presence is one of the most attractive qualities a person can possess. You've met those people before. The ones who don't have to try too hard to get attention. They walk into a room and it's as though the entire space shifts to make room for them. They don't need to say a word, yet somehow you feel their energy and you can't help but be drawn to them. These people aren't relying on flashy performances or trying to be something they are not. They are simply there, completely unapologetically and fully present in the moment, and that is the secret that makes them magnetic. In today's world, we are taught to perform. Social media encourages us to put on a show for the world, perfect photos, curated lives, constant validation seeking. We're told that we need to sell ourselves, to impress others with our achievements, appearances, and personalities. The idea is that if we can perform well enough, we will be accepted, liked, and ultimately successful. But here's the catch: all that performance often leaves us feeling drained, disconnected, and empty. We give so much energy to trying to be someone else that we forget the most important thing. We forget to simply be. The problem with performance is that it is often based on what others expect from us rather than what is true for us. When we perform, we try to meet someone else's idea of who we should be rather than being in alignment with our true selves. We put on masks, wear facades, and play roles. We act as though we are someone else, and in doing so, we lose sight of who we really are. And here's the thing, people can sense it. They can feel when you're not being real with them, when you're just going through the motions, when your energy is being spent on trying to impress rather than simply being authentic. Presence, on the other hand, requires no performance. It is about showing up as yourself, unapologetically, imperfectly, and without the need to prove anything. It's about being grounded in your own essence, so much so that you are not shaken by external circumstances or people's opinions of you. It's the quiet confidence that radiates without saying a word. When you are present, you stop worrying about what others think, and instead you focus on what is true and real in that moment. You are at peace with yourself, and that energy is contagious. People are drawn to that calm, steady presence. They are drawn to the person who doesn't need to perform because they feel safe and seen in their authenticity. One of the most powerful things you can do in any situation is to simply be present. When you are present, you are fully engaged in what is happening in the moment without distraction or anxiety about the past or future. Your focus is entirely on what is right in front of you, whether it's a conversation, a task, or simply the experience you're having. You are not concerned with impressing others or putting on a show. You are simply living in the moment, completely immersed in the now. This is when true connection happens. This is when real relationships are formed. This is when the magic of life unfolds. Being present requires a certain level of self-awareness and emotional intelligence. It requires you to be in touch with your own feelings, thoughts, and needs so that you are not constantly reacting to the external world, but instead responding in a grounded, intentional way. It means that you are not trying to control the situation or manipulate others' perceptions of you. You are just being without trying to be anything more or less than what you are in that moment. When you practice presence, you begin to notice the subtle shifts in energy that happen around you. You start to observe how people respond to your energy, how they feel more comfortable around you, how they trust you because they sense that you are being genuine and authentic. And the beauty of presence is that it requires no effort. You don't have to try hard to be present. You don't have to perform, impress, or act. You just have to show up as you are. Of course, this doesn't mean that you're always perfect. Being present doesn't mean being free of emotions or challenges. It means being fully present with what is. Accepting yourself, flaws and all, and allowing yourself to simply exist in the moment. It means not forcing yourself to fit into a mold of perfection or to meet some outside standard. It means that you are willing to be vulnerable, to be seen, and to be imperfect in front of others. It's in that vulnerability that true connection and true beauty are found. When we stop performing, we open ourselves up to deeper experiences and connections. We stop seeking validation from others and we begin to validate ourselves. We stop pretending to be someone we are not, and we start to embrace who we truly are. And when we do this, we allow others to do the same. We create a space where authenticity can thrive, where people can let go of their facades and simply be. In this space, relationships become more real, more meaningful, and more lasting. In a world where everyone is constantly trying to outdo one another, where competition and comparison are rampant, The greatest thing you can do is be present. You don't need to keep up with anyone else or prove anything. You don't need to try harder or perform better. All you need to do is show up and be yourself. You don't need to worry about whether people like you or whether they are impressed by you, because the only thing that matters is that you are true to yourself. And in being true to yourself, you become magnetic. Your presence speaks louder than any performance ever could. What's more, being present helps you cultivate inner peace. When you stop performing for others and start focusing on your own truth, you become more grounded and centered in your own life. You stop running from one thing to the next, trying to keep up with the demands of the world. Instead, you start to take a step back, breathe, and really see the world around you. You begin to experience life more deeply, more meaningfully, and with a greater sense of gratitude. You realize that the moments you are living right now are the ones that matter the most, and you realize that you are enough, just as you are. When you are present, you stop worrying about the future or regretting the past. You accept that life is unfolding exactly as it should and that you are exactly where you need to be in that moment. This peace, this sense of contentment radiates from you, and others feel it. They are drawn to it because it feels safe, authentic, and real. It doesn't come from performance, it comes from being. The truth is, presence is one of the most powerful tools for success, fulfillment, and happiness. It is the key to creating genuine connections, to building trust, and to finding peace in your own life. It is the key to attracting people who truly value you for who you are, not for the persona you put on. So the next time you find yourself trying to perform, to impress, or to be something you're not, remember that you don't need to do anything more than simply show up. Be present, be authentic, be you, and watch how the world responds.